Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. That's cool.
There we go.
Oh.
Hello, my name is Ben Parr. I'm the co-editor of Mashable. Just introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure, I'm Aaron Filner. I'm a group product manager on the Flash platform.
Very cool. So we're going to talk just a little bit about Flash and what's happening now, what's going to happen in the future. And why don't I just get into the meat of what some people are interested in about the discussion about Apple, Flash, and HTML5.
Sure.
So I guess just first of all, a little bit about, do you think there is a battle between HTML5 or Flash, or is that a misperception?
I really see that as a bit of a misperception. At the end of the day, Flash and HTML have coexisted for quite some time. Adobe invests largely in tooling and other things to support both Flash and HTML5. We've always, as a company, worked to extend HTML as a technology to provide more functionality, more richness to our developer community, and we expect to do that for the foreseeable future while continuing to invest in tools and other things to support HTML.
And so there's been also talk about Apple not supporting Flash on iPhone and iPad. Why do you think that is, at least right now?
Sure. I mean, I think that's a decision for Apple. The way that Adobe sees it is that we have seen consumers look at and observe two models that are emerging for consuming content. There is an open web and the ability to retrieve content via browser, and there is a marketplace and the ability to purchase applications and acquire applications in that environment as well. And for Adobe, we want to support both models and give developers and consumers the choice of using the browser or a marketplace or both, depending on the device. And we work with a variety of manufacturers in the world to make sure that happens on as many devices as possible.
Another discussion about Flash on touchscreen devices and why it may or may not be on Apple devices is the mouse over effect and the hover effect. So a developer about last week for Flash talked about this. Basically, there is no mouse on touchscreens, and thus you can't have the hover effect, which is used by some Flash applications in some games. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Sure. Virtually all content on the internet that's in Flash Player or works with Flash will work on mobile devices. There are definitely going to be some things or some sites that are extremely large and don't scale down or have other small issues that could benefit from being tweaked or optimized. And what we're seeing is that many websites work great, and there are some people who want to or choose to tune or improve the experience specifically on mobile devices, and reducing dependence on mouse over is just one thing they might do to improve that experience.
All right, why don't we get a little bit into mobile then? So what mobile devices do you think will be supporting Flash this year, and what are a little bit of the differences when supporting Flash on mobile rather than on the desktop or the laptop?
Sure. So we expect a variety of mobile devices throughout the course of the year to be supporting Flash Player, and we work in partnership with NVIDIA, Intel, Qualcomm, ARM, TI, a variety of both chipset and device manufacturers in the world to make sure that that's going to happen. 19 of 20 device manufacturers in the world today are committed to or already supporting Flash on their handsets. And so in terms of specific handsets, there'll be very many. I can tell you that we're working closely with handsets like the Nexus One and others that we've been demonstrating publicly, places like Mobile World Congress, the Palm Pre, for example. And we expect that it's possible to update many handsets over the air to have appropriate versions of both operating systems and the Flash Player in 2010.
Very cool. And so probably a lot of our audience is very interested in the Android version.
Sure.
And you were actually giving a little bit of demo about that. Is there anything unique about the Android version? And is that out this year?
So yes, we do expect the Android version to be out in the first half of 2010.
Okay.
And it will be using an upcoming version of Android that's going to come out in Q2 from Google. So we expect that a variety of handsets will be able to over-the-air upgrade to both get that version of Android as well as download the latest Flash Player. In terms of Android support, every platform has some nuances or work we need to do to take advantage of the platform, to take advantage of APIs, and to make sure that the browser integration is as good as possible. So in that sense, Android is no exception.
Why don't we talk a little bit about the future, and then we'll wrap up a little bit about President HTML5 again. So just maybe talk a little bit about what kind of interesting things that you can tell us now that we could expect maybe this year and into the future with Adobe Flash.
Sure. So our big focus at this point for this year has been and making sure that Flash Player reaches mobile. So Flash Player 10.1 will be out in the first half of this year. So that's what is the biggest thing to see in 2010. In terms of things we're thinking about for the future, we're planning, and it's an early time to be talking, but I can tell you we're looking at lots of areas of innovation, including 3D, among others.
And maybe 5 years. Do you have any plans 5 years out? Anything general?
In general, there's lots of things that Adobe could do with Flash Player and the technology, and we expect to continue working both on improving it and improving our tools and improving support for both HTML and Flash. We do have services like Flash Access, which provides rights protection, which is something that we can do really consistently across the Flash runtime, and we expect to be able to do sometime in the future. So that's another thing that's on the sort of looking farther out part of the map.
Okay. Last 2 questions. First one, we're looping back to the Apple and the HTML5 thing. Do you see steps that either Adobe or Apple can take to, well, reconciliate is not quite the right word, but lower the animosity level because and lower the volume on that type of debate?
So I think that we continue to do everything we can to make sure that Flash Player has the best possible experience on any device, whether it's Apple's tablet or the iPhone or the Nexus One or the Palm Pre or any of a variety of handsets. And so we'll continue doing that and making the investments in performance and making sure that Flash Player works as well as possible. We've also been working to make sure you can build Flash applications that work on the iPhone. And so developers can do that today with a pre-release we have using the next version of Adobe's Creative Suite. And so we'll continue doing those things to make sure that we can demonstrate that Flash works well on any handset. And then we'll continue working with Apple to see if and when we could get Flash Player on any of their specific devices.
Okay, and last question, just anything in general that you're really excited about the Flash platform that we really should be looking at for this year?
I mean, really, Flash Player 10.1 is the biggest thing. We're really excited to see Flash reach the browser and mobile phones in force this year. So that's the thing to look forward to.
Well, thank you very much.
Ben, thank you. Appreciate it.